So if you've been on YouTube for any even lengthy amount of time like me, you probably will have watched all of David Platt's time on Coronation Street. Because, I mean, there is even a channel called Corrie Platt Family, I believe. And they just post, Corrie Platt fan, and they just post pretty much all of the compilations of the Richard Hillman stuff, Helen Worth, Sarah, even Rosie and Craig, the Harris family, David Platt 2001, etc., etc. And through that, you typically get to see a lot of the fun, right? You get to see a lot of the kind of ridiculous scenes. You get to see David's coming of rage, which was a big deal. You get to see him he just grows up. He doesn't have a lot of fun. I'll say that much. He has a meltdown. He has his grief with Gail, and he has fights back and forth. And there's the time where she fell down the stairs, and it's like, David, how's it going to do? And then he smashes up the street, and then he goes inside, and then he gets out, and then he kind of starts to piece his life back together. But in true David fashion, it never really, he does lose a lot of that edge through time, but also it's David Platt, like you kind of expect him to anyways. So yeah, but one thing that somebody's found on the soap subreddit, on the r/Coronation Street subreddit, and the reason why I'm tackling this is because we know what David Platt did. That's what he did. He smashed up the street, and then he went inside, and then he kind of started to go different. But I found an article from 2007 which would have changed the David Platt story forever. So let's take a look at this article. Corrie's David in family murder plot. Don't mind that awful feed that we don't actually use. Weatherfield's David Platt to massacre family in twisted Corrie shooting storyline. Coronation Street's twisted David Platt turns family annihilator. Obviously, David would say, I barely know her. Too soon. When he plots to kill his entire family. David, played by 19-year-old Jack P. Shepherd, reaches a new low in the coming months when he plans to gun down his family, including Mum, Gail, sister Sarah, Gran Audrey, street crimper Maria, and brother-in-law to be Jason. Street crimper, you taking the piss? Mate, whoever was writing this was wild and out of control. What are these journalistic standards? Street crimper. Writers who hope viewers will become hooked just like they did during Richard Hillman's reign of terror research family mass murder cases and use real-life incidents as inspiration for the storyline. According to The Mirror... Wait on, let's see. When was this posted? 4th of July. Okay. According to The Mirror, one script sees David warn, I hate the lot of you. I'll kill you all, you know. It's not difficult to get a gun. The plot sees David's friends and family mock him about his sexuality when he learned that he lied about having sex with Mel Morton. David subsequently loses it and blames everyone for all the problems in his life. A Weatherfield source told the newspaper there'll be some incredibly chilling scenes. It'll be a superb, slow-burning plot which will take ages to come to boil. During the comparison between the Richard Hillman storyline, the source continued, that time David Platt was one of the victims. This time he is very much the aggressor. They added, it's well known that Tina O'Brien is leaving the show. It could be a great way for a character to go. Okay, so let's just like breathe after that. How insane is that? How absolutely ludicrous is that? Like, what in the world? So, like, how do you even... Obviously, we know what... Like, David Platt went on to have some of the best storylines of the 2010s. A fully breakout David Platt, you know, Jack P. Shepherd, is essentially part of the furniture at this point. He has been there since 2000. He's on the big boy side of the dressing rooms. You would never have had the Kylie Platt stuff. You would never have had the Shona stuff. You would never have had his sexual assault You would never have had the Aiden stuff. You wouldn't have had him with the kids, him with Max. Like, it's mental. That's such a wild thing to... Because look, at this point, David is comic relief. He's a comic relief character. That's what he does. So it's just how the character is treated. He is constantly cracking jokes and taking the piss out of his family. And that is just how it be. That's who David is. But to think that obviously, the source we don't know. It is just a digital sparkle from 2007. They could just be making shit up. It could just be fake. But to think the difference, because obviously David, he would be in prison. He'd be in prison or dead. He would not get away with it. And we would have missed out on so much good David material. And like, you know, David and Sarah are pretty big characters in the grand scheme of things. Both have stuck with the show and have continued to be a big piece of it, like, ever since. It's just kind of wild to think that, like, hey, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna kill off the entire Platt family. So what? Yeah, we're gonna end the whole family. And there's like, the Platts have been a staple for years. You can't get rid of the Platts. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, there's not too much else to go on here. I just think it was it was a really interesting little one to think about. I don't have too much to actually argue on it. Like, obviously it didn't happen, of course. The rest is history. But to think, we don't entirely know if this was actually a thing, but like, to think that there could have been an option. There could have been an option where this was the case. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. I don't hate the idea, because obviously after the Richard Hillman stuff, you kind of want to show David go through the ringer, because, you know, he nearly died. Gail welcomed a man into their lives, and he murdered 3 people. So it's just, yeah. Like, imagine what could have been. I like, it's always one of my favorite things to look at, because I always kind of wonder, like, what it would have been like had this have happened. And I always kind of say, like, I'm sad that soaps are so standoffish in its nature, because it's only after people eventually leave and aren't going to come back they actually expose the stuff that they thought about. And I mean, there's even going to be abandoned storylines iceberg of some form, not about Corrie, about EastEnders. So I don't know. I'm just a sucker for these things. I just absolutely love this sort of stuff. It's just always great to kind of see what could have been, and that stuff's always really exciting. So yeah, there we are. That's the video though. Not really too much, just a little fun one. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it. You guys, you know, how do you think they would have done it? All that and more in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.